Hi, welcome to the Agent Odyssey. My name is Matt Wyman, CEO and co-founder of Acario. We create synthetic users to test your agents and make sure that what goes into production actually works and then monitor it afterwards. Today, I am really happy and excited to have Thiago Maior with us. He is the CEO and founder of EZOps Cloud, a consulting firm. He's spent decades working with big enterprises, helping them realize various projects and helping them actually deliver on those features and capabilities and products that they're imagining. And I'm excited to talk today about the world of consulting and how it's changing and how all these AI tools are, well, I don't want to overstate what's about to happen, but I think there's an interesting road forward. And I think Tiago has an amazing perspective on how that road fits together and how we make it productive and how we see a lot of value out of it. So Tiago, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Really excited to talk.
Absolutely. Um, Maybe you could start us off by telling us a bit about EasyOps Cloud and the kinds of projects you've been working on, and we'll start there.
Sure. EZOps Cloud started like 10 years ago. Um, and it started with the idea, to bring the best in software development to companies. Back then was what it was big was DevOps in cloud, right? Like infrastructure in the cloud, using DevOps from that. Uh, you know, Infrastructure as a code was a big thing, containers, right? So our idea was to bring those technology to, small and mid companies here in the US, right? It's been 10 years, and we of course scale a little bit what we were doing. I was the first DevOps engineer from the company, uh,
It's the
and
best way to
now,
start.
yeah, we are up to 50 engineers, and we do also software development. But I think we continue to try to bring as much technology, the best technology is available for those companies, right, and develop those projects with them, helping the best way we can, especially using our 10 years of experience. And I think we got something like 800 projects from the past 10 years. So
Oh, wow.
a lot try to bring all this experience to the clients.
Wow. Well, I think it would make sense to start with how has it changed? These past couple of years have probably been pretty turbulent. What have you seen change, in the projects or the approaches from customers, et cetera?
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, if you asked me that question 1 year ago, I would say not much. Uh, 1 year ago, we were doing the same thing that we did 10 years before. Mostly, of course, we did things faster, but not because of AI or anything, but because we were better, right? Um, so 1 year ago, we were doing the same thing. Maybe even, I don't know, 8 months ago, right? I wouldn't 6, but 8 maybe. And I think those, 6 months, 7 months ago, everything started to change pretty fast, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and developers are delivering quicker. Um, Projects does have less risk, right, to have any problems. And we are seeing a big change also on clients that are bringing, of course, more complex solution, but the simpler project, the smaller projects doesn't aren't there anymore, because I think eventually the client's able just to do themselves. A lot of competitors also that we wouldn't have it before, because people weren't capable to do. And I think we are pretty much on the moment that we are seeing where this is gonna head, because there's a lot of it's not the fact that developers are delivering quicker. This is gonna take us somewhere. There's gonna be a pushback on it, right? So developers being able to deliver more, what is gonna happen? Are they gonna work less, right? They have less projects. There are gonna be more projects in the market. What is gonna happen? So I think we are specifically in that situation where I think the consequences of that haven't happened yet. only
Interesting.
only uh, know the benefits of AI and everything that those developers are using, I think, are getting as of right now, right? So developers start to use, companies have they're being more productive, and that's it, right? Um, we have less smaller projects, and that's it. So what is going to happen? How the market is going to respond to that? How the clients are going to respond to that? Are they going to relocate budget somewhere else, or they going to invest on more technology? I don't know.
Love to double down just for a moment on you're seeing fewer smaller projects. Is it so you're seeing, I would assume that the corollary is true then. You're seeing fewer smaller ones, which means you're seeing the larger projects, those continue. What about the sort of the nature of the projects? Are they the same kinds of projects that you're being asked to do? Are you being asked to now tackle different types of work?
I think first of all, I think we switched the custom development projects to custom AI development projects, right? So there are a bunch of
Hmm.
projects that wanted to add AI as a feature, right, of the platform, and we don't see that much custom development projects, right? So these are less projects there, because of the tools that are available for sure. And the complex one is still there for sure. I think those haven't changed because I think those are the ones that need humans engineers to review, right? They need engineers to take responsibility. They need engineers to really understand what is happening, to really plan for what is happening. So I think the ones that actually need a person there, reviewing a lot of different situations, those projects are still there. But the ones that are just more technical, that are just more code related, they those are of course, really scarce.
So are you also seeing if the smaller projects are fading and you're seeing these larger projects and the nature, everything's shifting to these AI, are you seeing customers come to you with a different set of sort of preparatory material and different elements that they come to the table and they engage you with right from the beginning?
Oh yeah, they come with different purpose for sure. One, first of all, they are highly prepared, right? Because they have research on that. They have even trying to do themselves already some of it. So they
That's
would say,
that's actually what I was kind of
"I
leaning
already."
towards, and to ask the question, like how much are they coming to you with a first try?
Yeah, most of them for sure. Most of them, right? So
Interesting.
they ask the right questions, right? So they understand they need to do, and they understand uh, what they need, right? So, and sometimes it's not us what they are looking for, right? So, um, I think they are more prepared, definitely. You know, that's what I would say. So it's the same projects, but they are more prepared. They already tried to do something. They already did part of the work, even. And again, the consequence is that you do have less work for that, right? To work on the client project. So he's also tried to optimize the budget eventually, right? So that's what I would say. Like, there's not so many smaller projects, and the big ones are, they are more prepared and they already tried. And I would say that there are few projects that are small projects, and the new small projects are the ones that we have to review what the AI do. So we are
Mm.
some of that, but not as much as first I would say expect. I would expect way more projects review from clients, and I'm not seeing that much. You know, so I don't know.
Are you are you seeing a different project owner coming to you? Is it the same people, same type of people that are coming to you, or is
Yeah,
it a
at the
new?
same time, it's the same time. But again, even the technical type, they are more prepared, and the technical type are the ones that can get way more prepared, right? Because they understand everything. You know, so back then, the person didn't have the time to really go deep dive and just delegate even the understanding of the technical aspect of a project. Now they have the time, so they can understand everything. and get you really, really prepared and expecting a clear, answer, right? And a quick answer also, right? So you have
Well,
to
yeah,
be really prepared to answer that.
the quick answer, I mean, the time frames, right? I would assume are changing.
Are
Um,
changing. They wanna something deliver fast and right and good. It's fast and good, right? So that is not easy. Cheap, fast, and good eventually, right? They
it
are
used to
already
be 2 out of 3. Now it's all 3.
yeah, now they expect the 3 because eventually so they can find somebody that charge by hour and the hourly rate is low. They can charge, and if you get somebody on an hourly rate with a low hourly rate using Cloud Code, they can deliver fast and good because Cloud Code is helping, right? If they are technical enough and they can prepare, right? They reduce the risk also, right? Because they are really looking for someone to just code and test and make sure everything is there, right? So they really want somebody with quick answers and expect quick, fast, and good. And consulting firms like ours need to do a big shift for that because usually, if, for instance, onboarding process, right? They don't want to wait the onboarding process for sure. So you have to shift or get ready for these kind of situations, right? Um, but I think everything's pretty soon still, right? So this started to happen. I would say there's not even 1 month, 1 to 2 months. I would say, right? So it's been too quick. And again, I do expect some consequence of all of that. I think.
Tell me more. Like, what kind of consequence?
The consequence, I would say, like eventually they're gonna shift so many things, right? So fast. I would say, for instance, let's think about a consultant, right? He's delivering fast, so he cannot sell 5 hours of his time, right? Because okay, now I have a project that is 5 hours, so he have to sell way more of those hours, right? So people are still expecting an hourly rate. There's nothing have changed in their head that they expecting an hourly rate, but they want way less hourly rate because oh, you have Cloud Code, you have Codex, right? So you can do that quick. Okay, but if I do that quick, I'm not gonna have another work. I have to find another job, so I have to spend the job looking for another job, right?
Hmm.
So how's that gonna affect everything? And eventually, you're gonna have a developer working with 10 clients, right? So it's the old model doesn't fit this new model,
Well, so
right?
do you think that's going to expand? I mean, it logically makes sense that it would, but are you already seeing it where as as people are working on projects that are correctly sized for this, where they might be able to handle 2 customers, now they can have 4 clients, 5 clients at a
Yeah,
time?
but the demand haven't grown. I think haven't grown, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't see, right? Because smaller projects are not there, so only the big ones, and we don't have as much big ones as of right now, right? So of course, one consultant might be able to work in two, three, four, but where are those projects, right? So those projects with other consultants, they also need to work in three, four at the same time, right? What is going to happen?
So so as we see all these people with great ideas and they start all sorts of different projects on their own, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the understanding and means to actually get those projects to production. And I'm just curious how you see that trend. Like where does that go with all these projects that are, one step away from POCs? Maybe they're better than POCs because they've, people put in their love and their tears to make it just right, but it doesn't make it production quality necessarily. That's a specific skill set.
Yes. But I can see they hiring, somebody even that they know, right? So they hire somebody that they know and just for a few hours to put them on production, right? So the fact is, are they hiring a freelancer that needs a job, right? That have this kind of job? Are they hiring somebody they just know and it's somebody that's already have a job to do that, you know, in overtime? They can do that, right? So the big question is that where where are they finding those people to do that job and put them in production? How much time they need to put that in production, right? We have seen a lot of projects that was AI created, and it, it would need a lot of time to get into production, right? And eventually, the client doesn't want to spend that much time to put in production. So I don't see where no they are taking this project, so they're just canceling because
Interesting.
it's too complicated,
When
and
reality comes.
yeah. So maybe reality is coming, right? So you haven't got to us yet, right? So I think we are in the moment that they're just starting. Maybe they did put in production somehow, right? With just a few hours or some for somebody. So maybe they find a freelancer they worked before. Okay, this guy can put in production now. And maybe even guys that couldn't put in production before, they now can, right?
Mm.
So for a developer, oh, they didn't know anything about putting a project, but they just could develop. Now they can because they have cloud code. They explain to them everything, and they can put that in production. So the problems are not there yet. So it's kind of a complicated situation. So we don't know where this is gonna head, but I do think that I'm not a developer anymore, but I would be a little worried if I were a developer because things are gonna change pretty fast, and it's changing so fast that. But I don't have the answer. And I'm still waiting for to see. I'm still talking to a lot of people to see what is gonna happen.
Part of what I'm also hearing you describe is correct me if I'm not hearing this correctly. The engineer is an orchestrator. They are orchestrating more. They can handle a few more customers, and a lot of the work is in sort of organizing, orchestrating everything that's happening underneath. And maybe projecting a little bit here, but if the initial ideation is being done by the customer before they come to you, there's still quite a lot to figure out how to get that all the way through and then maintain it and have it ready for the next revision, the next set of capabilities that come in. There's a new way of thinking about it that's a little bit more about the requirements and the business goals than it is necessarily about the code itself. And so, do you well, first, do you see a trend of the engineer being expected to understand, your engineers being expected to understand more about the business and a
Yeah,
shift there around orchestration?
and that's where we are preparing actually, right? So luckily we did invest a lot on AI agents the past 2 years, and we saw this happening and we got prepared for that. And when I say prepared, I do think that right now the way that things are going is that um, companies are automating the development process more and more. So those clients that get to
Hmm.
me, so they not only wants to uh, get things they prepare, but they also wants me to do the project fast, right? So I have to put my engineers to quickly do that. And what I think is the best way to do that is still with AI, is being able to get what the client wants with AI and be able to develop what he wants. And our job is to prepare to orchestrate this process for him, right? So we invested in a tool and we test a lot of different approaches in order to get a solution for that. Be able to deliver quick and put in production quick, and maintain his platform quick, and even reduce his engineering hours, reduce his costs, right? And I think that's where the big opportunity is, especially for a consulting firm, because everything that I said, it would be, oh my God, what is going to happen with for consulting firms? So I think consulting firm has a big opportunity because they can handle more clients with AI, and they can use his engineers to work in multiple clients at the same time. Right? And what those companies are looking for are not technicals anymore, but people that I can actually take responsibility, and humans can actually
Yeah.
discuss. So consulting firms have those guys, and if companies are actually trying to hire even engineers for that, okay, I'm going to hire somebody for that. They are still relying one engineer that even could be a little bit defensive as of right now of using that much of AI, right? So what we are doing is that we are offering AI even subscriptions, kind of a subscription approach where the client doesn't pay a fixed fee and they have constant development because we are delivering so much with AI. at the same time that they have an engineer that is always available and they understand this platform, they can discuss with him, can really plan so nothing goes wrong. But we push our engineers to use our AI solution so he reduced the amount of time that he's working on the project, right? At the same time that he's taking responsibility. So that's a big opportunity for consulting firm. People need the humans, need the senior engineers, and especially if they're working with multiple projects, because the more projects he work without risk, of course, the better he gets, right? Um, and in comparison with a developer that they have full time, they might be defensive about AI, right? They might be defensive about automating so much that haven't been prepared to do this, switch or on what his role are gonna be. Um, but at the same time, that no engineering cost might drop a lot, right? So
Mhm.
I would charge one client 8,000 a month, right, for one resource, for one full time resource. Now I can charge, I don't know, 2, 3,000 a month for a whole IT operation, for development or DevOps, you know, and I'm actually using less and less time from a developer, just the business side. So just so I can have somebody understand their platform and keep reviewing PRs, keep reviewing the code that are changing and updating the AI so they can behave better. Right? So we are telling like this is kind of automation of the software development cycle, right? With AI,
Yeah.
uh, we are we are moving toward that. At the same time that you're having the humans in the loop, the humans being reviewing everything, right?
So this
That
is ACE, right? This is
it is a so
the
we
ACE.
do have our platform, right? So when we offer that, we have developed our own platform, right? So we have developed our custom agent that can develop, that can operate, and can ask us to do our input, and we create a process also behind these, so that the humans are needed when they actually are needed, right? So to review the complex situations and to talk to clients about architecture and everything. So we build our own um, so that we can support those clients and we can reduce the costs of operation for them. And so we have clients that look, I'm spending 30,000 a month with my development team. Okay, I can replace that with just AI. So that's where it's a big opportunity to grow, huge opportunity to grow, right? And support those companies with a really, and I do think a really better kind of management, because the AI is able to document everything. The AI is able to support at all times, right? And I think it's an opportunity for everyone. So consulting firm, I think they're gonna be this pool of gonna have this pool of engineers to orchestrate, to guide the AI and the clients to the right path, right? So we are pretty excited about all that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Um, is it fair to also say that ACE is acting at least partially as the project manager facing the customer?
Um, Not really. Um, I think I have my project manager with the client. So the client wants to talk to him, especially in the beginning, to plan. Right? So I have my project manager, I have my solution architect with the client. So they discuss what should we do, what do you need, and based on that, they prepare ACE or any AI platform the client might have to perform that plan. Right?
Okay.
So ACE can even support creating tickets and planning everything, but it is a project manager, a product manager with the client, with the solutions architect that actually decide what needs to be done. And ACE is the executor, is the PR generation, is the code generator, right? So the testing platform, the security, the quality gates reviewer, right? So he's the monitoring when something goes in production. So ACE is behind all the heavy work that we would call it
Yeah.
before, right? But I still have my solutions architect, the project manager with the client planning everything. That I don't think that will be changed in the near future, right?
Well,
I
that's where the guidance needs to be, right? I
that
mean,
the guy.
it, it- the shape of the system is dependent on the requirements. The requirements are dependent on understanding the customer's need and the business and what the business outcome. That can't just be invented out of nowhere. So that requires that conversation. And then it sounds as though ACE is helping with the picking up all those discrete small pieces that have to be brought together and then documenting and creating clarity around
Yes.
it.
And the biggest thing that now is once that plan is ready, once the initial meetings is ready, the plan for I don't know 1 2 months, uh, Ace can deliver by himself, right? Because he's generating the PRs, he's generating the code, just waiting, of course, for someone to review. But Ace can put features in development in staging environments before a full review, right? Because it's able to verify that everything's working. You know, is able to, oh, I deployed something wrong, let me roll back, right? So can do that all, you know. So that's the level I think we're going. And it's pretty funny because 10 years ago I was talking about the same thing about that, right? So let's automate the pipeline. Let's click here and then you're gonna have a deployment with no downtime, right? Now is create a ticket here and you're gonna see the feature in production, right? So it's the same thing. Um,
Amazing. We got
and
there.
yeah, it's the same process, right? So funny enough, I'm preparing myself all the presentation to present the same way that I did 10 years ago. And again,
Yeah.
we have a lot of people back then, 10 years ago. I remember each meeting that I got there, the client would say, that is not true. That can happen. That is really hard. You cannot
Yeah.
have pipeline of infrastructure. You cannot have a deployment without downtime. You cannot have automated tasks, right?
Yeah. Infrastructure as code was just a bizarre concept for many
It's a
people.
bizarre
And now it's
concept. Now that
commonplace.
cannot be done. And
Yeah.
now it's the same pushback, right? So first, and just like before, right? So I had a lot of clients. No, my developer can do that.
Hmm.
Core. So the same way, like, oh, my developers can use Cloud Core for that, right? So that's where they are. The same way that they would DevOps. So they would wait for the developer to make it work, and then eventually they struggle too much, so they would call us. Is the same thing. So that's where everybody is. Everybody wanted to show progress, especially because you can generate code. So a lot of people think that they can automate this process. So they are trying. I think that a lot of people are trying. Some are going to succeed. Just like back then, we saw a lot of DevOps engineers or developers that were able to. They even became DevOps, right? You have developers just like myself. Eventually, let me become a DevOps because I was able to do it, right? But there are a lot of people that couldn't and they need help, right? And consulting firms are doing that a lot and getting the feedback. The only thing now is just like before, finding early adopters. And the early adopters, were just like 10 years ago, the early adopters were the startups, right? The self founders, the small companies that, they don't have much choice sometimes because of budget. And
Efficiency.
that was always our best clients where they just, wanted because they couldn't hire they couldn't have the developers spend some time debugging issues, or even being down, right? So that's where they hired us, and exactly the same thing right now. When I tell you, look, we have a subscription plan, I'm going to develop for you just for this subscription. You don't have to worry about developers, don't have to manage developer and everything. Like, what? Yeah, that's it. So it is a big opportunity in those companies. They are our early adopters, and it has been great, to be honest.
Yeah. I really resonate with the idea of ACE helping accelerate into that next phase and the type of next generation automation that you're describing as the humans are actually the ones figuring out what needs to be there and then orchestrating and ACE then implementing those pieces that can be. And then that's changing. So as you think, since you made the 10-year prediction that came about, what's the next 10-year prediction?
Uh, Pretty hard.
It is, isn't it?
Pretty hard. If a wild guess is, having more and more people working, supervising agents, right? That's gonna be our 10 years. Engineers that supervise agents, and hopefully we're gonna have so many projects to work on. There's gonna be so much work. So You're gonna even if you have look, you have two engineers managing 1,000 pod server of Kubernetes, right? It's possible because the agents are doing the work. So you have two engineers that are doing 10,000 pod management. That what we would have right now, 10, 20 engineers, right? So you have two, right? But what if the agents stop working? What happens?
Well,
Right?
I mean, part of what it's hard to imagine the explosion you're describing because the numbers seem so big. But if you actually plot it, it's very logical that it's going to go that way. I agree. I think we're going to see an explosion of the, exactly as you said. I think that we're going to see an explosion of different kinds of applications that are using different mediums to create experiences. And this is a lot like, I mean, a lot of people have talked about it, the web to mobile, you know, how big was mobile going to be when the iPhone broke apart the mobile experience and you started to get really rich experiences just out in the world, suddenly we had, it was not long before we started to have, the equivalent of iPads where you could order food at a restaurant and or pay directly at the table. Like these things became real, these experiences that really aren't precisely phone experiences, but they're created because mobility was possible. And I think the same thing here, we're just going to see an explosion of new places. And then I agree that it's going to be, yes, there are going to be lots of agents writing code, and yes, there are going to be lots of agents implementing, but there are going to be a lot of projects and a lot of people needed to go guide that larger set of projects and needs and interactions. And it's just, and I think it's hard to imagine just how wide it goes. It all seems crazy when you talk about 100,000 or some large number of bots running around, but it's possible, right? It's
It
possible
is.
that many services get managed. Um, I'd love to. I mean, since we're talking about what the world could be, I always love to ask people about like the skills that we all need to develop and what we need to do to be ready for that next world. Um, and not limited just to engineering. I'm just sort of like, but you're in this wonderful spot of seeing the possibility, right? You're building A's, you're seeing what's coming, you're seeing all these possibilities. So, in terms of skills that people need to go develop to be ready for this next world, what comes to mind?
I would say two things. It's funny because I became a developer because I was an introvert. So, but now with so many bots, unfortunately, people are gonna have to build their extrovert side, right? So the more humans they can be, I think I do have a, I do think that over time, people want to talk with more people, right? So they're not
Yeah.
gonna want to have a call from an agent, an AI agent, right? Because they're not gonna they don't want to talk to an agent, and eventually they're gonna have a call, and if it's an AI agent, they're not gonna respond. And if it's a human, so I think human brain are gonna be guided to identify quickly when it's an AI and when it's not an AI. And business are
Hmm.
gonna thrive when they have more humans to work with them, right? Funny thing about, for instance, outbound outreach, right? I have some I get so many offers from outbound that it's clear when for me I already have in my mind. I can read the first sentence, I can see this was AI, just delete, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can also see when there was not an AI because I have to respond. There are some outreach that I have to respond because they might be client based, and my brain is already
You're already
identifying,
distinguishing.
distinguishing what is AI, what is not AI. And funny enough, when I talk to my team, look, stop using AI to send messages. Send yourself, right? So they
Hmm.
get a way better response. It's ridiculous how much bigger the response is, right? The percentage they can send less, of course, but they get way more responses from client, right? So um, I think that's something like that will be the future, right? So when they're gonna need more people to talk to instead of AI. Nobody, we're gonna get to a point that I don't trust AI. I don't want to talk to an AI, even if somebody builds something. Oh, this AI can do it all. This they can call, they can work, they can deliver. They can call, they can work, they can deliver. but you're gonna have so many people saying, "I don't want to interact with that. Let me work with a person," right? Even if that person interact with the AI, doesn't care. But as long as the client is interacting with the person, so that skill is really important. But for the introvert, the way that I had to stop that. I had to talk to my clients. I mean, to more clients. I have to sell, so I have to develop this thing with me over time. Um, I think they need to understand how to build an agent, right? They have to do that. They might understand how to build an agent, develop the next big thing. And we're gonna have developers of agents still, right? And they're gonna have to be updated with this latest technologies because everything changed. And a new open claw might happen from for another day. So I think that's two things: be highly technical in AI, right, and develop your people skills.
Yeah. And I love that because you're really talking about people taking ownership and
Yes.
driving it forward, right?
Yes.
There are
Also, when you talk to a client, right? So it's not that you are talking, so you're taking responsibility, right? Because the client's talking to you, so
exactly.
he can blame someone, right? I was in a conference last day, and the biggest thing, there was a big, in the end, there was a big director talking from a big firm. So and he was clear, like, so the only thing that AI cannot deliver is compliance, is responsibility, right? How can we blame an AI to do something wrong? The AI doesn't, right? Doesn't have anything to blame, right? Even insurance can the AI won't have insurance if it's not behind the company, right? Cloud code's not gonna take responsibility of a business if something goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anthropic won't do that. So compliance, take responsibility. That is gonna be a big thing, and that's all done by humans, right?
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Which does mean that it's not fire and forget. It's not make a request and walk away. There's a responsibility that comes around the other side of what's being generated. And I actually think coming all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, this is often forgotten when, and you're hyper aware of what it takes to actually get projects to production. But I think it's the same kind of, hey, I made a POC and it's good enough, and I built this thing on my own. I'm just going to send it out. Nope, there's a lot more to it, and there's a responsibility to make sure that it works in the end if you're building real projects. Thiago, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.